Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC 322. In this matchup, we have Erin Blanchfield taking on Tracy Cortez, two women who've taken very different paths through the sport, but meet at the same point, each believing they're ready for that next step. And a very, I'd say, interesting stop or matchup for the women's flyweight division, as you have skill versus pressure. Her. Now important thing to note, this is actually a rematch. These two fought back in 2018 in Invicta, where this was Erin Blanchfield's first and only loss for a while, as Cortez beat her via very close split decision, where when Blanchfield was just 19. Since then, Blanchfield has done very well for herself. Now it's currently 4-1 in her last five fights. Her only loss is to Manon Fior. But besides that, she had submitted Molly McCann, submitted Jessica Andrade, defeated Tyler Santos via decision, and defeated Rose Namajunas via decision. Meanwhile, for Cortez, she similarly is 4-1 in her last five. She was also on a pretty good win streak too in the UFC. Granted, all decisions against Justin Quiche, Melissa Gatto, Jasmine Jasovicius, which granted that win has aged very well. Then lost to Rose Namajunas, but she did take that fight on short notice. And then most recently, UFC 317 beat Vivian Araujo. So, like I said, now you meet two girls meet up 7 years later, both much better fighters, and I'm very intrigued to see how this matchup goes this time in comparison to Invicta. So, without further ado, let's break down their styles. For Erin Blanchfield, she's a fighter who fights with a quiet precision that's very underestimated until you actually see how well Blanchfield wears down her opponents. Blanchfield is not a reckless striker or a one-shot finisher. She's a system fighter, is the best way to put it. Everything she throws has a purpose. Low kicks to test the balance, long jabs that disguise level changes, and constant forward marches that force her opponents into the fence, where that's where her real game can begin. Obviously, it's no secret. Erin Blanchfield has very, very good jiu-jitsu. Comes from a jiu-jitsu base. But it's how she blends that base with timing and pace that separates Blanchfield from most of the pack, if not all the pack, when it comes to grapplers in the women's flyweight division. As Blanchfield doesn't just shoot for double legs or cling to the clinch, she does build very good transitions. She'll feint a strike, and when her opponents bite, then she uses that reaction to enter the takedown. And once Blanchfield's on top, she moves with a kind of suffocating composure. She doesn't really make much positional mistakes. Very good with transitions, heavy hips, constant pressure, and very calculated control. Oh, and you see Blanchfield, she's not just going to hunt the submission willy nilly. She sees it. She builds towards them methodically and lets the opponent make mistakes. You've seen it when she found the Kimura to Molly McCann. She didn't get overzealous when McCann was, doing her best not to tap. Eventually, Blanchfield is just stepping over McCann and fully cranking in the Kimura. Meanwhile, you think of her win over Jessica Andrade as well, where Blanchfield showed a much more patient striking game, more accurate striking game, and was able to capitalize on Andrade and go for a great double leg off a strike, and then from there methodically work to the back control and get the rear naked choke. Even in her most recent fight to Rose Namajunas, you saw Blanchfield struggle for the first 2 rounds on the feet, but then slowly build the fight back up, time some good takedowns, and it shows how good Blanchfield's grappling is when she was able to kind of dominate Rose on the ground for as long as their fight was on the ground, because Rose has some slick jiu-jitsu, and you saw in like Rose's fight with Tracy Cortez, like she was able to out-grapple Cortez, who's a very good wrestler, or with a very good, strong base. So it really does show Blanchfield's overall well-rounded game, because she has shown better striking and very, very good control of jiu-jitsu and very good submissions once the opportunity presents itself. Now, if there is a gap in Blanchfield's game. Obviously, everyone has a hole in their game. It's still in the striking defense. She does tend to get hit when she kicks, and that split second between extension and resetting, like basically when she throws a jab, she kind of has a slow time to reset the arm back to position. That's usually when she gets caught, and relies on pulls and lateral movement more than traditional blocking. which does leave opens to clean counters. That's how Rose was able to touch her up for majority of their fight. But usually Blanchfield is very composed, keeps her long, and sorry, she keeps safe long enough to reset and brings the fight back to her world. If there's one thing about Erin Blanchfield, she's tough as hell, good chin, and great card. We've seen she can go 5 rounds, no problem. For Tracy Cortez, she brings a very different kind of energy, as unless she's more of the wrestler in this fight, where Blanchfield is the grappler in this fight. Right. And one thing about Cortez, it is gritty, less polished than, say, the smooth transition of Blanchfield, but more persistent than explosion. She doesn't overwhelm opponents with speed or power. Cortez outworks them. And Cortez thrives in the moments, in the in-between moments, from clinching, cage exchanges, and scrambles. And Cortez's control against the fence, her balance for when defending takedowns, and overall her ability to stay calm in long grappling sequences make her a frustrating opponent to dominate. On the feet, Cortez has developed a solid boxing base, nothing fancy but effective, and she's tight defensively, keeps a good